Everybody, Shannon Petrovich with Therapist Talks. Narcissists don't love, they take hostages. I want to pause for a moment and say that the reason I'm posting these videos is really to share mental health information with all those around the world who may never be able to see a therapist. So please take a moment and share these videos to your Facebook or other social media, and of course like and subscribe. So what do I mean by narcissists take hostages? Well, if you're in love with a narcissist, you're in it alone, and it will destroy you. This video will help you to understand what's really going on and give you the steps to get free. Love means you care for the other, sometimes at great cost to yourself, and that both parts of the couple are giving and loving, and selfless and empathic. Love is a connected, growing, fun, exciting, and by definition, you want the other person to be as happy as you are. You want to be with them, you want to take the time to get to know them, you ask questions and you listen to the answers so you can understand them better. You want to make them happy and you want to grow together. You hurt when they hurt, you laugh when they laugh, and you just want to be more and more connected over time. This is a fairly consistent experience, and it doesn't feel good and then terrible and then good again. It progresses and deepens over time. Narcissists, by definition, can't consistently create this experience. They can fabricate some of those emotions and actions to make it look like they are, but since it's fabricated, it won't be consistent over time. They don't empathize, they don't care about others. They only want to make them happy. They want you to care about them, and they want you to make them laugh and take away their hurts. They want to be connected when it suits them, but not consistently. They want to be together when it's good for their image or their social media pictures or their arm candy they need at the time, but they're not really in it for the togetherness. They want to absorb you, but not let you grow as an individual. They don't get joy out of seeing you grow your life, only when you're adding to theirs. They don't take an interest in what's going on with you, only as far as it impacts them. If you find any interest, they will be mad or hurt or both. They're only interested in you as far as it serves them. You'll notice they don't ask about you except to have ammunition to use on you later. To understand what's going on, it's first critical to understand the underlying personality structure and thus the motives and the way of functioning of the narcissist, so that you really get that this may feel like something special, but it isn't love. The narcissist is an empty hole covered by a grandiose facade. Their need and their goal is to get you to fill that empty hole, to make them feel good through your constant attention and adoration. And they will go to any lengths to get you to do that. They will love bomb you at first, and that feels great. And it's how most relationships with narcissists get off to a really fun and exciting start. Many people spend the rest of that relationship trying to get back to where we were. Don't delude yourself. That was a calculated maneuver to get you hooked and nothing more. After you're hooked, real life sets in, and everything needs to revolve around that narcissist. You start to recognize that anytime everything is not all about them, they're upset, they're angry, they're resentful, they're irritable and vengeful. Depending on the dynamic, they can use that complete emotional meltdown, or rage, or pouty face, or cold distance, or all of the above. They will use whatever works on you to get you back in line and get everything focused back on them. You might even notice they start with the pouty, then move to tears, then to rage, then back to pouty, or the cold shoulder. It's kind of like a buffet in front of them, and they'll choose whatever is likely to push your buttons. When they find that one thing, they'll keep using it. Over time, they're literally training you to act the way they want you to, and when you don't, you'll suffer the consequences. Gradually, it's easier to make them happy, to placate them, to puff up their fragile ego, than it is to do battle. So gradually, you let them be the center of attention, you let them do what they want, no matter how it impacts you. They're also going to isolate you from those you care about, since they are so insecure with themselves and they're afraid that your friends and family will take up your time and attention that they want for themselves. As you become more isolated, it's much easier for them to manipulate you, as you really have no one to bounce reality off of, and what they say is constantly in your ear. These are the precursors to your hostage status. Because they don't actually love, but just want you for their own needs, they will love bomb you to hook you, and then you'll notice that you're living on breadcrumbs. There's almost no love, affection, care, or concern. Now, if you start to get sick of it and make a move to leave, the romance and love bombing happens again, but just enough to get you reeled in. This feels like love, but it truly isn't. It's hostage taking and it's manipulation. How else do they take you hostage? They look for your vulnerabilities. So they're continually gathering ammunition from your faults, your foibles, and all other qualities that would be endearing to someone who actually loved you. And then they blast you with them to make you feel terrible when you're not meeting their needs. A narcissist can say the meanest things. You can't even imagine it. And then when you're down and you're hurt, they feel like you're submitted, and then they want to make up. If you're angry or if you hold back, they'll be incredulous. They expect you to let it go and move on. And when you legitimately start to see that they cannot love you and say such horrible things, they will love bomb you harder to make it better. Also, they will always blame you for everything wrong in the relationship, so that gradually you start to feel less than. You start to feel broken, unworthy, and even lucky that they love you. They build themselves up and tear you down so much that they use things against you to shame you, and then they keep pushing so that that hurt spot makes you crumble every time they want you to crumble. They will quickly and completely gaslight you whenever you complain about their behavior. Their aggression is your fault because you made me mad. Their emotional instability or meltdowns are your fault because you upset me so much. The upshot is that you're being trained not to confront, as it leads to a meltdown or rage, and it's just easier not to rock the boat. Gradually, you even begin to wonder if they're right, and you start to feel crazy. As you feel more crazy, more isolated, and more unworthy, and less appealing to others, they're effectively brainwashing you into a compliant hostage. Over time, you feel lucky to be with them, even though you're miserable most of the time. They throw a good day in there just enough to keep you hooked, and to keep anyone else from thinking that they're as rotten as they really are. You're like the hostage that stays even when they could run away, because they have been brainwashed to think the kidnapper is saving them from the big bad world, and the kidnapper loves them more than anyone else ever could. This is actually called Stockholm Syndrome, or trauma bonding, or terror bonding. And it describes how hostages develop a psychological alliance with their captors as a survival strategy. So, some quick questions to assess your relationship. Are you afraid of your partner, not just of them hurting you physically, but of their emotional pressure, their manipulations, their instabilities? Are you exhausted by your partner? Does time with them suck the life out of you? Do you often wish it was over, but not know how to make it end, and you fear the repercussions of it ending it more than the drain of staying? Are you suicidal, feeling like that may be the only way out? Do you wish they would find someone else, but you feel so unlovable that you also fear that if they left you, you'd be crushed? Are you becoming isolated, depressed, confused, feeling unlovable, unworthy, worse and worse over time? This isn't love. You're being held hostage. It's time to get out. Some steps. Number 1, check in with friends and family and really tell them how you feel about the relationship. Get their honest feedback. Often they've been holding back their sense of what's going on in order not to hurt your feelings. Ask them to be really blunt and direct. Number 2, make a plan to get out and journal your plan, making it really clear how and when, and most importantly, why. Number 3, don't fall for the love bombing, the pressure, the manipulations, or the all-out pulling out all the stops, because that's surely to follow. Go back to what you've journaled about so that you remember why you're leaving. Number 4, have a safety plan that includes calling 911 if violence erupts. Don't go it alone, and don't feel badly about calling police if that person escalates to that point. Number 5, get support from those friends and family so that you don't fall back in. Remember, the underlying personality disorder doesn't really change, if ever. See my video on Can Narcissists Change? If the person wants to change, you still need to get away from them and let them do that work themselves. Don't stay while they figure it out. It's too destructive to you, and it's really a long, hard journey that they need to undertake themselves. Take good care of yourself and use lots of good self-compassion to help you love yourself back to good mental health. There are loving partners out there for everyone. M. Scott Peck said, "Love is caring about another's growth." Someone who loves you loves to see you happy, wants to be closer, to grow closer, to see you live your best and healthiest life, to find and fulfill your highest goals and dreams. They are empathic and loving, and they are consistently this way. When stress happens, they pull together, not apart. They help, they don't attack. If you found this video helpful, please hit like and subscribe and share with others on your social media. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you again soon.